My name is Bill German, and I'm an immigrant from Ireland, and I'm one of the few remaining warriors who have experienced a life that it doesn't exist anymore. And you'll see on this video my fairly mundane wash basin and a jug and a chamber pot, which is a quaint contraption. And these have special meaning for me, and I have them on my sideboard in my home here all the time. They were from my maternal grandmother's home. My mother slept in that room when she was growing up, and I was born there. So it has special meaning for me. Now, when people ask me precisely where I come from, I often tell this story. In the famine times in Ireland, which culminated in 1847, a few million people died, some emigrated and died here. In fact, Toronto people should be very proud, because in the summer of 47, 30,000 Irish people came through in 4 months in a city that had only 20,000 population. That's something else. At that time, the Catholic Bishop of Cork rode down to our area, the Southwest Peninsula, and he was so decimated by the horrible human stuff that he saw there. He was meant to go on out for the rest of the peninsula, but he rode his horse up the hill, rose his hand up and said, "Bless all who live west of here." Now, that's where I come from, and I've always felt blessed. I grew up in Tourmore, which hadn't really changed for the 100 years since the famine. We had no running water, no sewerage, no electricity, no surface roads. And but as children, we enjoyed ourselves because we had total freedom to go where we wanted, make up our own games, and enjoy ourselves. I also went to a one-room school, which all of this helped the diversity of my learning. There are two main rituals that I remember as a child because they were very high in my life. The first was going to church, albeit an Anglican church, which is unusual because most people are Catholic. But my mother played the organ there. She wasn't very good, actually, but what she missed in technique, she made up for with enthusiasm. So she'd hit a wrong note, but she'd keep on playing until she hit the right note, and then she'd hit it real hard and get moving. My father sat down the back with the other unconvinced. My mother wouldn't trust us to sit down there with those dangerous guys, so we had to sit with a nice lady up the front. When I used to come out from church every Sunday morning, I'd look to my right and there was our family graveyard. And I found it very comforting at times that whilst I didn't know then where I was going, it was always comforting to know where I was going to end up. The other ritual I remember, and of course religious related also, was the famous wake. Wakes in Ireland, death was treated as part of life. And psychologically now it's accepted that some of the things that went on there were actually quite useful. It kept the family that was bereaved, it kept them occupied for that critical 2 days, support from all the neighbours, etc. And my father said to me once that it was the key social point of his youth, that you'd only be bereaved once every so often, and the rest of the time you have a great time drinking whiskey, smoking ciggies, and picking up girls. My mother, again, unelected, like many community people, she laid out bodies. When I asked her once why she did it, she said, "Well, someone had to do it, Billy." And there was another famous one where an older sister of hers who was dying, and she was a bit cantankerous. A younger sister said to my mother, "Don't take her in to die, it'll be too much hassle." And my mother said, "I've put 5 down out of this house already, another one won't make a difference." And that was her. There was one wake that I particularly remember. Mrs. Downey, the only woman in our whole area that was given the honour of Mrs., because she came from an exotic place called Carlo, which is about 120 miles away. But in today's terms, it would have been like southern Yemen. And she used to regale us with stories of the cricket matches on Saturday, the last of the gentry's cricket matches, and the local butcher would be playing as well as the squire, and the butcher would be running up the hill for fast bowling. And she, as a young lady, was doing cucumber sandwiches with tea. So I really love that woman. And when my mother went to do the job with her usual tools and paraphernalia, like towels and water dish, cloths and pennies to put on the eyes to settle rigor mortis, and a Bible to put under the chin, also before rigor mortis. A Protestant Bible she had. At that stage she was getting a little bit sensitive to not be seen to be proselytizing or anything, so she told me to go away and get a Catholic Bible. So I went out for a cigarette because I knew that no self-respecting Catholic friends of mine would have a Bible, never mind a Catholic Bible in the house, you know. So I went back and told my mother, and she had the Protestant Bible like this with the, the binding out, which is what you normally do. So she took out the Protestant Bible, turned it around so the leaves were showing out. So now you wouldn't know whose it was. And I remember afterwards trying to write about Mrs. Downey, Catholic chin on Protestant Bible, did she go to heaven?